Welcome to another edition of SKNIS Week in Review, a weekly program that highlights some of the top stories of the work of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. I am your presenter, Carissa Franks Benjamin. Coming up, activities begin for Month of Older Persons in St. Kitts. Manufacturers Awareness Week 2019 commemorated under the theme Manufacturing Connecting the World. National School Safety Policy set to be completed by November 2019. Prime Minister updates the public on matters of national importance. During a press conference held on Thursday, October 3rd, the Prime Minister, Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris, updated the public on matters of national importance. The Prime Minister recently led a delegation to the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly UNGA in New York City, where much was accomplished, including provision of strong advocacy on issues that matter to the citizens and the residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. One notable accomplishment during the trip was the signing of the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The Prime Minister described the signing on Friday, September 27th, as a proud moment when the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis at long last acceded to the convention. While in North America, the Prime Minister held two hugely successful consultations with nationals abroad. These events took place in New York on Thursday, September 26th, and Monday, September 30th, 2019 in Miami, respectively. Both events had a huge turnout of people, plus thousands more who followed via live streaming. The Prime Minister also announced that for the fourth consecutive year, the Government of National Unity has committed to pay a bonus salary in December 2019, an unprecedented move that showcases the sterling stewardship of the economy under the leadership of the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris. Prime Minister Harris made mention of the first-time home mortgage program, where persons who are building their first home are afforded duty-free concessions by the government and all materials necessary for the construction of their home. The Prime Minister also mentioned the Sugar Workers Restoration Fund.
For the record, the former government paid 968 former sugar workers when the industry closed in 2005. In contrast, we have provided financial payouts to 2,221 beneficiaries. This was supported by the sum of $16 million donated by the government of Venezuela, and an additional $1.5 million came from the Consolidated Fund to satisfy about 192 persons or applicants whose claims were tied up in the court processes because the sugar worker, the principal party, had died intestate or they were family issues. One will say, I am the one, and next one will come and contest. So that created a delay, and it became legally difficult when there is no will made and no proper assignment. These 192 beneficiaries will be paid on or before October 15, 2019, subject to the requisite paperwork being completed.
Prime Minister Harris stressed the importance of housing to nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis. He said in response to Hurricanes Irma and Maria, the government has supported over 2,000 families with renovation and repair works, and in exceptional cases, new homes were built. The NHC is well on its way to delivering 400 new homes. The Wellington Road condos are moving apace. Opportunities are increasing for home ownership. The Prime Minister also addressed the national consultation on the economy. He stated that on October 8, 2019, the government proceeded with national consultations against the backdrop of an economy which has grown year after year since 2015. The leadership and staff of the Department of Social Services in St. Kitts joined scores of seniors in celebration of the Month of Older Persons, which is commemorated every year in October. The commemoration began with an inspiring church service on Sunday, September 29th, at the Antioch Baptist Church at Limekiln. Senior Pastor Lincoln D. Connor highlighted the value of older persons in any society in a message entitled Fruit Bearing in Old Age. Ministry officials in attendance included Permanent Secretary Janelle Lewis Tafari, Deputy Director of Social Services Marianne Wigley, Social Assistant Officers, and Home Care Officers. Other activities that will be observed in St. Kitts during October include an appearance on the radio and television program Working for You on October 9th, boat ride along the coastline on October 24th, staff social evening on October 25th, and another radio appearance on October 30th. Minister of State responsible for social services, the Honorable Wendy Phipps, noted that various ministers of government will also visit the oldest persons in each community throughout the month. During a national address on Monday, October 1st, to mark the Month of Older Persons 2019, Minister Phipps said, quote, "As St. Kitts and Nevis celebrates the Month of Older Persons, we must consistently remember that our senior citizens matter. We must also remember that our people are now blessed with living longer than our ancestors did. We must ensure that senior citizens are properly cared for and are given every opportunity to live their lives in a manner that maintains their dignity as human beings," end quote. The Month of Older Persons is being celebrated under the theme, The Journey to Age Equality, with the hashtag 60 Plus Counts. The theme was selected by the United Nations UN for the 2019 celebration of the International Day of Older Persons, which is observed on October 1st annually. The Manufacturers Division of the St. Kitts and Nevis Chamber of Industry and Commerce celebrated Manufacturers Awareness Week 2019 under the theme Manufacturing Connecting the World from September 29th to October 4th, 2019. The week was officially launched on September 30th by Minister of International Trade and Industry, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, the Honorable Lindsay Grant, at Ebenezer Edmage Street, C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site. The objective of the week of activities was to showcase and create an awareness of the manufacturing sector in St. Kitts and Nevis, said Minister Grant. He added that the manufacturing sector of the Federation continues to be an important and significant contributor to the country's economic development. In fact, it contributes some 6% to its GDP.
It is very important for us to recognize and to celebrate such, especially given the resilience and the reliance placed by this sector amidst an extremely complex and challenging global environment. It is in light of this that the Manufacturing Division of the St. Kitts and Nevis Chamber of Industry and Commerce is celebrating a week of activities aptly dubbed Manufacturing Awareness Week from September the 29th to October the 4th, 2019, under the theme Manufacturing Connecting the World.
Minister Grant noted that the government recognizes the importance of the manufacturing sector and the significant role it plays in the continued economic development of the Federation.
We note that over the past several years, the income from manufacturing exports has been very significant. In fact, our federation is still the leader in exports in the OECS region, and this has been so for the last decade or so. I must also add that St. Kitts and Nevis combined total exports is in excess of the combined total of the other OECS countries, and so we must be proud of that.
Minister of International Trade and Industry, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, the Honorable Lindsey Grant. The Ministry of Education hosted a Model Safe School Toolkit workshop from September 30th to October 3rd at the Ocean Terrace Inn, OTI, which aided in the development of a national school safety policy set to be completed by November 2019. The Model Safe School Toolkit was born out of the Model Safe School Program, MSSP. As stated by the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR, the MSSP is designed to assist CDEMA participating states with implementing processes that result in a safer and greener educational facilities. Its toolkit comprises of a policy that can be adopted by governments and ministries of education, tools for assessing the level of safety and greenness of schools, a template emergency disaster plan that can be adapted to a school's specific situation and hazard context, and finally, a list of tools and guidance documents that can be utilized to create safer and greener institutions. According to CDEMA.org, the toolkit will essentially guide governments on the development of national safe school policies and to offer tools for assessing the level of safety and greening of schools. At the launch of the National Safe Schools Program Committee and the development of the National School Safety Policy in March 2018, Minister of Education, the Honorable Sean Richards, stated, quote, "A national school safety policy is an important document to have in our schools. It will provide guidelines for specific protocols and procedures which must be followed before, during, and after a crisis. The policy will influence a comprehensive approach to planning for and managing a myriad of potential natural and man-made hazards and safety issues within our schools," end quote. The St. Kitts Bureau of Standards, SKNBS, has announced that it will be allotting more time for individuals, especially businesses, to familiarize themselves with a new labeling standards to be adopted soon. The adoption notice of the National Labeling Standards was published in the Gazette in June 2019, said Head of Standardization and Chemist Jermaine Mike, adding that legally after 60 days, that is August 2019, it should have been adopted. However, the Bureau has deemed it necessary to give persons more time to take note of the new labeling standards. The labeling standard has been depicted in a graphic for ease of reference so that persons can be fully informed before it passes into law, said Mr. Mike. In related news, the St. Kitts and Nevis Bureau of Standards is once again informing the general public that it will be adopting 7 standards. Of the 7 standards, persons are asked to take note of 2 in particular, namely the standards for labeling of pre-packaged food and the general labeling requirements for goods. Persons wishing to see the scope of the standard can visit www.sknbs.org. It can also be found on www.sknis.kn. The standards will come into effect tentatively in 2019. Other standards to be adopted in 2019 include specification for packaged water, requirements and recommendations for beach operations, environmental management systems, regional energy efficiency building code, labeling of goods, specific requirements for pre-packaged goods. With the damaging effects of climate change continuing to worsen, Officials at the Water Services Department said measures are being implemented to improve the levels of water supply. Charles Paris, Assistant Water Engineer, said upgrades to water infrastructure are ongoing, affecting storage tanks and distribution pipes. Mr. Paris stated on Wednesday's October 2nd edition of the radio and television program Working for You, quote, "We have a few projects there that will deal with introducing new wells that will give us additional water, and we are also considering desalination," end quote. Mr. Paris stated that desalination is a viable option for St. Kitts, given the changing climate, the growing population, the expansion of industry, and an increasingly affluent society. Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches-Liburd, has embraced the process of desalination, noting that the government remains committed to exploring all options for managing water resources and enhancing supply options. And that's it for this edition of SKNIS Week in Review. See you next week.